Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1,700. 1,700 inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Boy, am I a lucky guy. Buckle up, here we go.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Miramar, Florida, with a very special guest by the name of Richard Kelley. Richard, welcome to Cars Yeah. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I am ready to go. Count on.
All right, cool. We're going to have some fun here. Now, before I give you a proper introduction, I would love for you to tell my listeners one little thing about you that maybe most people don't know.
Other than the police, let me think.
Yeah, well, we don't have to go into that.
Oh, yeah. That's nasty. Well, let's see. In 1986, I was not only making images of Formula One, but I was racing myself. I was sharing a prep company with Didier Tates. And he was leading and would go on to win the Super V championship title that year, the equivalent of Formula 3.
Yep.
And he asked me to run his second Martini chassis at the 1986 Detroit Grand Prix. All I needed was $25,000 in sponsorship, and I quickly found $15,000, but then could not find another dollar, and I was gutted. Well, you know, that's the way it goes. World championships are won for less money than that. So, you know, I just kept my head down and kept on shooting. But it was a really wonderful, request from him.
Yeah.
And I will always appreciate it.
Absolutely. Very cool. Well, you know, the rest is history, as they say, and you've done pretty darn good. So I don't think there's any negativity to looking back on that for sure. I always say that's why the rearview mirror is small and the windshield's big, because you'd rather be looking down the track than what's coming up behind you or what's been behind you. So that's an interesting piece of trivia there. Well, let me give you a proper introduction, and we're going to dive into this thing called your life. Richard Kelley is a photojournalist and writer whose career spans 48 years, including 20 years in publishing with Car and Driver magazine during the golden age of automotive journalism. From 1972 through 1984, he captured his heroes of Grand Prix racing. His iconic images and memoirs were captured in his documentary, Waiting, that revealed the intimate moments of racing of his lifelong friends that were on the track. He raced on a national level in Formula Ford and found success in F2000 and Atlantic Racing. He joined Mitsubishi Motors as North American Media Relations Manager, and today Richard remains smitten with F1, shooting parts of 2017 and 2019 season for his clients. He's penned race recaps from 2017 through 2020. We'll be back in just a minute to talk with Richard, but first, a word from our sponsors. They make this show possible, so please give them a little love. We'll be right back. Sit tight. The best way to protect your vehicles is with a quality-made, custom-fit car cover made by Covercraft. It's the best way to preserve your vehicle along with the meanings, memories, and experiences that they give us. I've been protecting my vehicles with Covercraft since 1975. That's right. You'll find a multitude of options depending upon your individual needs. Indoor covers including form fit, fleece satin, and their unique view shield. Need a cover that will protect your ride outside? Their quality options include Weather Shield, Weather Shield HD, Weather Shield HP, Sunbrella, Reflect, Carhartt, Evolution, and NOAA. Covers for cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, and watercraft are all available. Whether you're looking for rain protection, UV shielding from the sun's damaging rays, breathability, dust protection, snow protection, ding protection, and protection from those paint-destroying bird droppings. Live in a windy area? Covercraft Gust Guards are a must-have option. Worried about theft? They also offer cable locks and built-in grommets that keep your cover safely on your vehicle. Their website makes ordering fast and easy, and their talented customer service department will walk you through any of the questions you might have. They can customize a cover for almost any vehicle. And I've got a deal for you. Use the code YEAH120 at covercraft.com and you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Just use the code YEAH, YEAH 120 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. American Collectors Insurance. That's who now protects my Porsche Turbo. Yeah, the one I call my Orange Crush. When it came time to renew my policy, my carrier jacked my rates up, even though I'd been with them for years. I'd never made a claim. No tickets, nothing. What's with that? Adios. So I started shopping around and kept hearing about American Collectors Insurance from fellow automotive enthusiasts, friends, and folks in the car industry. I did some investigating and learned that American Collectors Insurance have been protecting collector vehicles since 1976. I'm not a price shopper when it comes to insurance. I want to be able to sleep at night. I also want agreed value protection for my special ride. With an agreed valued policy from American Collectors Insurance, I'll be paid what my vehicle's full agreed value is, a number I set with the insurer at the start of the policy so I know there will be no surprises about what my car's value is, should something terrible happen. I shopped around and decided to protect my car with American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call for a quote today at 866-ACI. Yeah, that's 866-224-9324 and protect the ones you love. Make sure you tell them Mark sent you. You'll be glad you did. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. All right, Richard, as we continue on this journey we're going to call your life, I would love for you to share a mantra or maybe a success quote, some kind of thing that maybe has some meaning for you. It's a nice way to get the shutter clicking, I guess. If the shutters click anymore, they kind of don't do that anymore. But us old guys know what we're talking about here on Cars Yeah. So Richard, take the wheel.
I'd say it's just very simple. All my life, from the time I was 19, it's be quiet, keep your eyes and ears open.
You know, I love this, and it's very interesting because I guessed on a couple of weeks ago who went through a period of time where he was with Deepak Chopra and he was with one of the Beatles, with George Harrison. And he did a 3-day silence where he couldn't speak and had to be quiet for 3 days. And to this day, he takes that opportunity he had in his life and he carries it forward and loves to go out into nature and just be quiet and with silence and observe. Now, the fact that you've done this in your career has led to some amazing photography. And I tell you, I went to your website and I couldn't get off of it. I'm like, wow, this guy has some really cool shots. You remind me in some ways of a friend of mine, another photographer, Jesse Alexander.
Yeah.
One of the things he loved to do was shoot those intimate moments of race car drivers. When everybody else was waiting for the cars to go, he was capturing the looks on their faces and so forth. So how has that practice served you so well in what you do?
It's one of those things where if you're busy yapping and you're busy talking, you're not paying attention. You're not doing what you have to do. When I stepped onto the pit lane in 1972, I was 19 years old. And jumping into that like that is like jumping over the Niagara Falls in a cardboard box. You don't know the protocol, and then you have a very fast pit lane with no braking when entering. So stepping into the pit lane is deadly. Still, I knew I was in heaven the first moment I stepped on the pavement. So I decided on the spot to practice what a famous photojournalist, Henri Cartier-Bresson, used to say: be invisible. Wait for the images to come to you. So I sort of invented something called being a fly on the wall. And the images just exploded. And it served me to this day.
Did you find that it also provided you with more unique opportunities than maybe other shooters were getting when they were maybe being a bit more obtrusive?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the things that you do, and I use it all the time, is you use a basketball term. You know, you use a block and a pick. I would put somebody between me and that person, and if you're using a wide angle, a wide open aperture, and you're focusing on their face, a lot of things go blurry, and they don't see you, and I see them, and I just wait, and I just wait, and I just wait, and I listen, and I anticipate what they're going to say, or anticipate how they're going to feel. If they get an answer back, and I just keep clicking and keep working it, and it's always paid off for me.
Did you find, because you were on the track so much and you got to know a lot of these guys, Could you kind of start to read them better so you maybe anticipated better what might be coming with either their facial expressions or if they were angry about something or excited about something? Obviously, knowing these individuals, and back in those days, I would assume it was easier to get to know the drivers than it is today. There seems to be this huge barrier between drivers and everybody else today. Back then, it's like the drivers were even friends with each other.
It was an amazing, I called them a band of brothers. The term's been used a lot, but I saw it firsthand. Everybody had respect for each other. Everybody knew that you couldn't touch. Everybody knew that you could lose your life as easily as they could lose theirs if they got a little too aggressive. And, they partied together. They laughed together. They cried together. They prayed together. It was a magical time. And I was very blessed to be able to be there and see it and literally be shoulder to shoulder with some of the greatest drivers who ever walked the earth.
Now, I know this is probably like asking a parent for their favorites, but did you have some, let's put it this way, because we want to take the personality out, because obviously you liked all these folks, but did you have some favorite drivers that you loved to shoot maybe more than others just because maybe they had better, I shouldn't say better, different facial expressions, more exciting, more reserved, whatever it might be? Or did you just find that everybody was so unique and individual that you really couldn't pick any favorites?
Well, I think that their uniqueness was part of their ability to drive. Everybody had something that was a bit better than somebody else. And you could see it in their personalities. Clay Regazzoni was just a blast to be around until he started racing. And then it was very, very serious and very specific. And from that came Nicky, who was just a kid with a lot of pressure on his shoulders because of the loans he took out. There's an image of he and a couple of other guys sitting on the wall. And they haven't got a ride for next year, and they don't know what to do. And you could just see in their eyes, what am I going to do? Lonnie's sitting there with him, and both of them had no rides. And I just felt sorry for them, and just down and talked with them, and just learned just how desperate they were. Then you had Peter Refson, who I'd known for a while because of a young lady that he knew, and a lot of other guys. And each one had some specific things about them that made them special. Francois Sever was a very fantastic guy, and he was just everything. He could play piano. He could get a call in the night from Brigitte Bardot, and he was almost have anything happen to him.
Yeah.
And yet he was a fantastic racer and loved every second of racing. And he and Jackie would sit down and just talk about the minute little bits of turning in and balancing the car and this and this and this and what ifs and what ifs and what ifs. And when he was doing that, it was fantastic because he was 100% into thinking about what he was doing, and the images I made were great.
Well, since you've been shooting for so long, was there a period or era of Formula One in particular that you're fond of? Maybe it's because of the vehicles, the style of the cars. Was there an era that really stands out for you?
Yeah, it was. It was a car that I didn't see. I didn't see Jimmy driving. I wish I would have. That's one of the things I really missed. But then I've been too young to be in there in person. I love the Tyrrells, the 05s, the 06 Tyrrells. Mm. They were a handful to drive. Only Jackie and Sever could drive those. They were very twitchy, very short wheelbase. But as smooth as they were, they made them work. And when they worked, they were really fast. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed some of the early ground effects cars. I thought the Williams that they had in 80 was an incredibly cool car because it was just so simple, yet it had all the right settings for downforce. Gilles' 1979 T4 was a car I know inch by inch, and just about my favorite car. And as they went along, the cars got more brutal and a bit more than a lot more ugly. And it wasn't until McLaren started putting together the carbon fiber cars that they got beautiful again. Yeah, every era had its cars, but the cars were like that for a reason, for the rules and for the drivers that they had. And so it was pretty much a press fit. Once you found somebody that could drive what you have, you tried to make him as comfortable and as easy to correct the car as they could. And then you stood back and let the magic happen.
Well, let's press the gas pedal down and fast forward to what you're doing now. What has you excited about getting up every day with your career these days? What are you doing these days that has you excited about getting out of bed every day?
Well, I'm choosing a different direction to go, and I can talk about that a little bit later. But it's a completely different type of photography. But one of the things that has really revved me up is that Petrolicious has asked me to sell my work on their website.
Nice.
And we worked for a long time to find some exclusive images and also two bespoke F1 portfolios that are exclusive as far as what's in there and how it's presented and everything else. And so they can go and find my work at the petrolicious.com shop under artists and Richard Kelley. And I'd like to hear some feedback about what people think of it. But I think it's really, really a nice keepsake with a lot of pretty nice images in there.
Oh, absolutely. And Petrolicious is such a fun site. The videos that they produce are great. For those of you out there, I had the original founder. Now he's since sold the business, so there's new owners there, but he was on the show way, way back. And you can subscribe to them, get their emails, notifications, and you can go and they sell some cool things. And now they've got some very cool things with Richard Kelley's images. So that's absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. I always like to ask my guests about a big challenge that they face or maybe even a failure. Now, you talked about that at the very beginning of wanting to drive and not quite being able to pull all the money together. Definitely a challenge, but it allowed you to move on and do what you've been doing so nicely throughout your life. Is there another kind of journey you might take us on? And I'm really more interested, I should say, in how it taught you something positive so you can move forward. So take us on a little trip around the track here, Richard.
Well, because of the way I made photographs, I could hear things. I did hear things. I heard a lot of things, but I never really it would be absurd for me to say a word, but you could see things developing. And on the morning of October the 3rd, 1973, I had been shooting Severe the whole day, and he was in a situation where he didn't know whether he might take the position with Ferrari. He didn't know if he wanted to stay with Ken. He didn't know if Jackie was going to stay. He didn't, he didn't know a lot of things. And Ken kept saying, Francois, let's just wait a week, please. Let's wait a week. And Jackie is just doing the same thing. And then the morning, that Saturday morning, we found out that Ken had just hired Schechter for the team. And Francois didn't know whether it was replacing him or replacing Jackie because Jackie hadn't told him he was retiring. And he immediately wanted to go out and get the pole. He immediately wanted to go out and go fast and get some headlines and make sure that he solidified his position. And I watched him think himself into a fatal accident. And you'll be able to see the images, not of the accident, of course, but I just watched him and I kept looking at him, just shaking my head, going, "Come on, man, come on, cool," And he just kept worrying and worrying and worrying. I just wish I could have been in a position to say, "Hey, man, just get up, get a drink of water and think about it a bit more. Go talk to Jackie." But he didn't, and
right, wow,
that's it. But I was the only person there. I was the only person around. Everybody else was looking at other people, and it was just lonely. Jackie's wife was just up and standing beside me, and I moved back and made 4 frames. The last one was 26A, and that was it. And,
wow, heartbreaking.
In those days, anything could happen. I mean, you had more fatalities in testing than you did in racing. It was always testing. You tested a lot because you had to find out things that would be, whether they would work.
Yeah, driving on the edge all the time. And why? Well, thankfully, things have changed a lot now. You look at some of the crashes that drivers have, and they crawl out and walk away. And you just think, wow, how can you walk away from that? But things are so much more safe, thank goodness. And I think we see less crashes these days too.
Well,
Which is
and some of the crashes they have are miraculous. Look at Robert Kubica. I mean, the one he had in Canada. I think he hit Yarno's car, and Yarno told me he just came from nowhere and boom, hit him. And Yarno said, "I thought he was gone. And it's amazing. And it's getting better and better and better all the time, which can't hurt at all.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a little break. We'll take a breath here. And we come back. I want to talk about this passion you have for racing and automobiles and photography. So sit tight. We're going to say a thank you to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Let's step away from the conversation and talk about our charity of choice here at Cars Yeah, America's Automotive Trust. America's Automotive Trust is a group of like-minded nonprofits that are working together to preserve and promote car culture across the country. Together, they provide scholarships and grants to aspiring technicians and restoration artists. They provide youth education programs and bring communities together through auto-related events, car shows, and drives. Among these nonprofits is TechForce Foundation, a great organization dedicated to solving the technician shortage that threatens the transportation industry today. By providing career development resources and increasing awareness and enthusiasm for the tech profession, TechForce is bringing bright young students into the auto, diesel, aviation, marine, motorcycle, motorsports, and restoration worlds. To date, they've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships and grants to tech students. And in times like these, I don't have to tell you how essential those techs are, keeping our delivery and emergency vehicles running and keeping America rolling. To learn more about TechForce or to make a donation to this cause, visit www.techforce.org. You'll be glad you did. Kevin Buckler is a winning racer and team owner of the Racers Group. He has over 100 professional wins, multiple wins at the 24-hour of Daytona, and a win at Le Mans. Kevin realized the racing world is about the people and founded Adobe Road Winery. He and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series, 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own with a racing twist. Just like in racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, superb taste, all blended together with a whole lot of fun. There are 4 carefully crafted blends with race-inspired names: Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. When you purchase all 4, you get the entire lineup in a beautifully designed gift box. There's a printed description of the blends inside the box lid, and every bottle is parked in a protective, die-cut placeholder. The bottles feature 3-dimensional labels, and I promise you'll want to keep them after enjoying these delicious wines. The box is so cool, you'll want to keep it too. The Racing Series is a killer gift for the automotive enthusiasts in your life, and I have a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word, all caps, at checkout, you'll get $10 off any purchase of wine from the Racing Series. Your wine ships promptly and arrives quickly. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout for $10 off on your purchase today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to adoberoadwines.com and use the code CARSYEAH today to get your deal. Cheers. All right, Richard, we're back, and I would love for you to share a story that instigated this passion that you have for automobiles and racing. Is there a pivotal moment when you think back in your life when you realize, you know what, I'm a car guy and I want to be a photographer and capture this history?
Oh yeah, you mean when I first realized that's what I wanted to do?
Yeah.
It was amazing in sort of the step by step that took place. I was a journalism student, getting ready to have a long career writing. And probably being a lot paler than what I am. It was in the fall of 71, and I picked up a Road and Track article by Rob Walker about the 71 British Grand Prix. And Rob and I later got to be good friends. In fact, I told him I blamed him for every bad thing that would ever happen to me. And he was a very, very generous man. But I read the article, and it was just one of those things where it just popped. It just made sense.
Mhm.
And then a little while later, I watched a brand new racing movie called Le Mans, and that pretty much floored me. As an aside, we found a pirated copy of that and showed it in the dorms, and probably paid for a lot of beer I had for the next 3 years.
That's cool. Well, that movie, I think, changed it for a lot of people. Not only did it bring racing to the big screen, but the way it was shot, the way it was done, was rather unique and different, of course.
Yeah,
And
it was a great image, a great great film. It just didn't have a script.
well, yeah, but for most of us car guys, who cares? In fact,
We didn't
when they
mind.
kept going to the scenes of him and the women and stuff, it's like, okay, go back to the track. I don't really care about
Yeah.
what's going on at the trailer while he's taking a break.
So I instantly ran down to the photojournalism building and said, I'm going to change my major. Why? I said, well, I'll take my major from journalist to journalist and photojournalism. You can't do that. I said, why? Well, because nobody ever has. I said, I'm number one. I'm number one.
That's a bad reason.
Yeah, right. Like I'm going to listen. And he said, well, we'll see. And so I worked out becoming a stringer for Associated Press at Indy in May of 71 and 72. And in 72, I was 19 years old. Okay. And then I got a little permission slip from Associated Press in Indianapolis to go to Watkins Glen and work for them. And so in October of 72, I drove all the way out there in my Vega,
Yeah.
slept on the ground, and went in the next morning and walked into photographic heaven. And I never left.
You're still there. Well, just not having to sleep on the ground with the Vega. That's things have improved a bit.
Yeah. Can you tell I was really fired up? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Vegas, let's talk about your first really special vehicle, a vehicle that perhaps you've owned, or it could even be a car that you drove, maybe a race car that you drove, but share a memory you have about what that is and what that vehicle was.
well, let me see. For me, for something that I personally owned,
Yeah.
it'd have to be a 1990 300ZX Turbo that was chipped up quite a bit. I was working for Car and Drivers, so they found a good chipper. And I went out, drove from Detroit to over to Chicago and picked it up. And we put the chip in and everything else and started to drive back to Chicago, well, through Chicago to Detroit. And just when we got down to the bottom of Lake Michigan, we ran into a midwinter Lake Michigan snowstorm.
Mm.
So I drove for 32 miles sideways at 5 miles per hour.
Yeah,
And the big tires just floated,
sure.
And we finally ran out of the lake effect, and no steering, just gentle throttle, and talk a lot, and
Right.
keep your eyes open. But yeah, that was a great car, wonderful car, beautiful design. Everything on it seemed bespoke, and it seemed to be made by Armani, and I just loved it.
Cool. Very cool.
I got to drive the 90, I don't know, 93, is it? 90. Anyway, it was the creepy Crawley March that one day I got to drive that.
Ah, okay.
It was a ground effects car, so when you got in it and you were below 100 miles an hour, the thing rattled like a garbage can. And at 101, the thing slammed itself down.
Yeah, that ground effects works.
Yeah. So, it was amazing. Brutal. The turbos would kick in and snap your head back, but it was very cool, very, very eye-opening.
I'll bet. Well, I'm going to crawl into your head a little bit here, Richard. If you were manifest as a vehicle, this isn't what you want to be. This is how you perceive your personality in some kind of a vehicle. What would Richard be and why?
Let me see. Well, okay, I'll cheat.
I'll cheat. A lot of people do on this show, I'll tell you that.
I'd be a Formula 3 car.
A Formula 3 car. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Lean, purpose-built, fast, no BS, no ego. You can either drive it and make it work or not. And if you can use it the correct way, it delivers maximum acceleration and exhilaration.
Yeah.
And it's light, and you can dance with it. And there's a whole lot of things you can do that a faster, more powerful car just isn't going to want to talk about. So, yeah, a car like that you can throw around. And at a place, there's a little track in Michigan called Radden. And it is like a mini Nürburgring. And you come off the ground 3 times. And it's the best place in the world to drive. 2.5 miles of absolute nuts. And I love the place. I love the place. So that's what I'd be, and that's where I'd spend all my time.
There you go. Nicely done. All right, we're entering the last lap. You know what that means. The white flag's out. We can see the checkered flag in the distance. And I'm going to fire off some questions here, have you give me some quick blips of that F3 car throttle. So here we go. Would you share one of your personal habits that you believe has helped contribute to your successes in life?
Again, I think it's just keep your mouth closed, your eyes open, and listen intensely.
Absolutely. Now, if I could arrange for you to have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, either living or deceased, this could be race car drivers as well, who would it be?
It's pretty easy. I'd share a bottle of claret with Francois the evening of October the 7th at the Seneca Lodge, because that'd mean he would have survived the weekend. He would have been the Tyrrell team leader, and he just might have won the Grand Prix. But I think also because that would have been the beginning of a very different history in Formula One.
Now, I usually ask my guests for the best automotive advice someone else has offered them. I was going to switch it up with you and say the best photography advice someone else has offered. You've already shared a great piece of wisdom with to be quiet, step back, observe. Is there maybe something else you might offer a listener out there that loves photography, is trying to be better at photography, in addition to that great piece of advice?
Well, you have to be able to see things in your mind, and you have to know what you're looking for. And you have to put yourself in that position. And if you were in an automobile, someone would say, if you're going quick, look where you want to go, right? Don't look where you want to go. It's the same thing in photography. You have to have sort of a prevision of how you see this thing happening. And then you move and you stay invisible and you look and you listen and you finally find that spot where everything's happening, and then you freeze and then you squeeze off 3 or 4 images, and hopefully one of them is what you want. But you've got to look where you want to go.
Great combination of thoughts on photography and driving there. I like that. Now, when it comes to resources, there's so many great resources for us these days. Is there a go-to for you that you find yourself at quite often?
I'm pretty locked into my website these days.
Okay. What is your website?
It's a very original one, www.richardkelleyf1.com.
Okay.
But it's unforgettable,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, the Facebook is the same thing, richardkelleyf1.com. And Instagram is at richardkelleyf1. And the other thing is that I still am receiving books to sell. Waiting has gone pretty well in Europe, in England. And I have 30 of them that are still in my hands. And I'd like to send some of these to folks for their Christmas gifts, or for their loved ones or themselves. And they can contact me and be happy to inscribe any dedication they'd like. And I can send them directly. Shipping is free and all that kind of stuff. And they probably have it in about a week and a half.
What's the best way for them to reach out if they want to purchase one of your books?
They could just email me at rkelley52@mac.com.
And I'll remind our listeners, Kelley is 2 E's, Kelley, correct?
Yes, yeah. And I'll also have it on my website. It's just I'm working on the website right now to add a page, so they can do that there, and take care of the payment right there, and I'll self-fulfill, or they can just contact me, by email, and the same thing happens perhaps a little quicker.
Very cool. I'll make sure I put all these ways to connect with Richard on his show notes page. Just go to carchat.com, type in Richard Kelley. Again, that's Kelley, and you can connect with him. It sounds like a great idea for a book for yourself and for a buddy or a couple buddies that love Formula One, they love photography, and they love automobiles. So there you go. Awesome. Now, is there another book in addition to yours that you might recommend to our listeners? Maybe one you've read that you found very useful?
I get a lot of inspiration from Steve Jobs, the book by Walter, what's his name? Isaacson. I just love,
Yeah.
I love walking through the man's mind. He
Quite a place.
some wrong things, but he had something that was burning inside of him, and he had to do it. And I felt ever since I was in the pit lane of 72 that I had the same thing. I had something burning inside of me. I had to take care of it. It's just a little, he made a few more dollars than I did, and
than all of us combined, I think.
Yeah, but his the way he could see things is very interesting, and I try to think about that sometimes when I'm trying to put together things for myself.
Well, and his life is very much like racing, the adage of never, ever, never give up. When you think about he built this business and then he got fired from his own company, created another company, but then ended up going back to Apple. Is pretty amazing story in and of itself. And of course, then losing his life at such really a young age when he had so much more to offer. You kind of wonder where Apple would have gone from then. But I drank the apple juice a long time ago. I've always used their product going back to the Mac SE because of the graphic privileges there, and sit in front of a Mac now, have an iPhone, an iMac, an iPad, a Mac laptop. Our whole house is full of that stuff. So, yeah.
And the A1 chips are out now, and it's rock and roll.
I know, crazy. All right, we're up to the checkered flag here, Richard, and this last question could be a bit of a doozy. I'm going to buy you a collector car today. Anything you'd like to have, I'll park it in your garage. Couple rules to this game, though. It's the only one collector car you can have. I want you to drive it, so it needs to tick a lot of boxes, and you can't sell it to buy a bunch of more photography equipment with, or a new island or a boat. If you pick a Ferrari GTO, you're stuck with it. So what am I going to buy Richard Kelley today?
Well, if we're talking about the ones I want, there's probably going to be plenty of museums that would need to go in lockdown immediately.
Hey, I've got the key to all museums, so you don't have to worry about that.
Then let's go shopping.
Okay.
My first choice, because there would have to be two choices, because I don't think I could pry this away.
Okay.
My first choice would definitely would be no object. It'd be the long-tail Salzburg Porsche 917. I think it's 917042 or 045. I got to sit in that, and it was the exact car, just like the car that led Le Mans there, number 25 in the movie. And Vic Elford was driving that car, and Vic and I become good friends. It's the one with the blue and white, sort of Porsche colors. It's the long tail. It's the long tail.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
It was a white 25, and then they decided to paint it and turn it into that.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's if Porsche would not allow me to buy that.
Yeah, they might not. But don't remember, I'm buying it, so you don't have to worry about you paying for anything.
Okay, so you have to take the shrapnel. Okay, well, then it would be then it's easy. That's easy. Then it's Ferrari 312 T4 chassis 041, which was the one Gilles used to win the '79 U.S. Grand Prix. I got to know Joe pretty well, and if there was one car on earth that I'd like to have, it'd be that one.
Well, you're going to need a track, so I guess I got to buy you a track to go with that one too. Yeah, for goodness sake. But pretty special car, pretty cool car, and a good friend of mine restored one of those, and I got to be around it a lot, got to sit in it. It's a car that Gilles drove. Now, I'm not sure if I don't think it's the same chassis number. The car I'm talking about was sold 2 years ago at auction during Pebble Beach Car Week. I think it got the most that any F1 car has ever gotten, like $6-something million, something like that. Yeah, but regardless, such a unique looking car, the way the front end came around and that wing kind of hung out off the front. And I just watched a video this weekend of that car going around the track at Monaco, and just watching. It was during test runs, not the actual race, but just watching that thing and listening to it. Yeah, I can see why you like that.
And when you watch Gilles drive it in the rain,
oh gosh, yeah,
then,
magic.
Then nothing is the same after that.
Absolutely. Oh, Richard, you've taken us on a nice ride today, my friend, down history lane. I've really enjoyed talking with you and learning about what you're doing, and I'm really excited to expose your photography to listeners of mine that maybe aren't aware of who you are. I want to do a shout out, thank you to Sandy Copeman of Amalgam, who really introduced me to you and got us together. When I had him on my show a couple weeks ago, he said, you've got to meet Richard and connect with him. So thank you, Sandy, for that. And if you missed my talk with Sandy, go back and listen. There's another very creative guy. Before I let you go here, what's a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance you might offer our listeners before you rip off down the track in that 312 T4?
Well, as it was with my entering the F1 pit lane in 72, I think anybody that really dreams of doing something has to find something that speaks to them so clearly and so intensely that they can't leave it. And they couldn't imagine a day without producing something new and meaningful with it. You know, you just have to understand that if it's what you're meant to do, it will change your life forever. It should change your life forever. But then you wouldn't want it any other way. And I think that's the best way to live.
Absolutely. I'll make sure, again, I put links to every way that you can connect with Richard Kelley. And you know what? If you want to buy a good buddy, a great gift here, the book Winning is an awesome opportunity here. He'll sign it for you, which is even more special, or address it to somebody, whatever you might like. So make sure you go to the Cars Yeah website, type in Richard Kelley, Kelley, or you can go right to his website, richardkelleyf1.com, and also follow him on Instagram and Facebook so you can keep up with all the fun this guy's having. Richard, thanks for being so generous today with your time and your expertise and for sharing your life with me and the listeners. This was great fun. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road or maybe in pit lane.
Thank you very much, Mark. I had a blast.
This was fun. You're welcome. If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Ike and Penny, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Ike and Penny, today.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.